Hello, my name is Chesley Taylor. I am a 6th grade science and math teacher at Jeff Davis Middle School in Hazelhurst, Georgia. This is my capstone project for the Masters in Education Instructional Technology program at Kennesaw State University. Currently, I teach 1 gifted class, 1 inclusion, and 2 regular ed classes. The title of my capstone project was Flipping the Script. I have been interested in trying the flipped classroom model for some time now. Unfortunately, before I attended Kennesaw State University, I did not possess the skills, knowledge, and dispositions required to complete a task such as this. In the flipped classroom model, students learn content outside of the classroom and apply that knowledge inside of the classroom by completing real-world, hands-on activities and assignments. They will access content outside of the classroom via online presentations, videos, and by reading books and articles. Students will utilize this knowledge to complete in-depth task and real-world assignments. Although students obtain content knowledge outside of the classroom, the teacher constantly monitors their progress and addresses any misconceptions or questions that may arise. In my 4 years as a teacher, I have noticed a lack of participation, performance, and growth in my students. My interest in the flipped classroom model and the lack of engagement from my students led me to choose the flipped classroom model as my research project. The purpose of this project was to determine if the flipped classroom model could be used to increase student participation, performance, and growth. The research question that led me to this project was, how are standardized test scores affected by the use of the flipped classroom model? In a review of the literature, I found little evidence to suggest that test scores were increased with the implementation of a flipped classroom model. However, I did find literature that described an increase in performance, participation, engagement, and enthusiasm. I knew that using technology would increase engagement and participation in my classroom, but I wanted to know if this increase would have a direct effect on performance and growth, specifically my test scores. There was a minute amount of research concerning the flipped classroom model and middle school students. This reinforced my enthusiasm to conduct this project within my school. The participants that were involved in this study was 102 6th grade students. These students attend the Title I school in rural South Georgia known as Jeff Davis County Middle School. There are 68.6% Caucasian students, 12.8% Hispanic students, 12.6% Black students, and 0.6% students that identify as other. Out of those students, we have 11.9% English language learners. With the diverse population of students at my school, the flipped classroom model was the best fit for differentiating instruction in a manner to meet all students' needs, wants, and abilities. There is an apparent problem with student participation and motivation that has resulted in teachers that do not clearly articulate learning goals, content that does not relate to their lives, and time constraints that eliminate the chance for real-world applications of knowledge and skills. In this project, I hope to use a flipped classroom to reduce the impact or eliminate all of these issues. It is my goal to promote student growth, increase student performance, and apply content knowledge to real-world applications that allow students to adequately demonstrate their knowledge and skills through self-expression. The objectives that I focused on for this project was 10% of teachers will implement a flipped classroom model, increase teacher confidence and use of technology, enhance the rigor of classroom assignments, connect content to real-world scenarios that students see in their lives outside of school settings, and increase students' knowledge, understanding, and increase student test scores. Deliverables that I used were student surveys and feedback, teacher surveys and feedback. I used a pre-test and a post-test, and informal and formal assessments that were given throughout the project. For the project plan, I implemented flipped classroom model in the 2016-2017 school year. I promoted student interest by using digital tools to deliver content outside of the school. Teachers developed content lessons using screencasts, YouTube, and multimedia presentations. Teachers also developed projects, interactive group activities, and real-world learning scenarios. Teachers took the role of a facilitator and students took the ownership of their own learning. The beginning steps of this intervention was to provide professional development for the teachers involved in this project. Teachers met and developed an instructional plan for the unit. I provided professional development according to the participating teachers' technology surveys that they took at the beginning of this project. The task of constructing screencasts, YouTube videos, and PowerPoints were divided evenly since all teachers used the same instructional supplements for all classes involved in this project. I developed a meeting schedule for the unit to ensure that collaboration and professional development occurred on a weekly basis throughout the 7-week project. Data was collected from student responses and assigned assessments throughout the 7-week project. The first 2 weeks were considered as an implementation period, and the data collected did not have as much bearing on the final analysis as the data collected during the full implementation of the flipped classroom model. The last portion of the intervention consisted of the teachers reconvening after the post-test and determine if the success of the project. Data was analyzed and compared to previous years and to classes that did not participate in the flipped classroom model of this year. The data served as a control group so we could ensure that our success is a reflection of the flipped classroom model and not just a change in student makeup or demographics. The final step of the project was for teachers to complete a post-survey to help me determine the participating teachers' likes, dislikes, concerns for future implementation. The main focus of the proposal was to use technology to reduce the amount of time needed for in-class instruction, so more time could be spent promoting participation, performance, and collaboration. Prior to the implementation of the project, we determined that students have lost motivation and refused to participate in traditional classroom settings. It was our goal to flip our classroom so that I may utilize class time to promote student collaboration, assign real-world, meaningful projects, and allow students to contribute to their success in education. Teacher and student surveys, post-test and pre-test, and project-based assessments were used to gauge the students' participation and performance to determine if the increase in these elements had a positive effect on their final grades. To assess the success of the capstone project, I organized and evaluated the data that has been collected throughout the project. I used detailed charts, graphs, and visuals to help evaluate the data. Overall, there was a 23% increase in test scores compared to previous years and a 28% increase in scores compared to other math classes this year that did not participate in the flipped classroom model. While many could argue that this was an increase due to the differentiation that was possible with the heightened use of technology, we cannot argue that there was still an increase, and that was the main focus of this capstone project. Initially, I thought all students would love the flipped classroom model, but this was not the case. Many of the students did not enjoy the flipped classroom model if they preferred direct instruction, face-to-face communication, or favored practice that immediately followed instruction, or if they were not tech-savvy. Students that favored and excelled in the flipped classroom model were the ones that preferred learning individually, working alone, working at their own pace, and hands-on real-world scenarios. While many of the students expressed a dislike for the classroom model, I could not ignore the benefits of using the model. Whether they liked or disliked this style of learning, there was a significant increase in scores compared to the control groups used for this project. With the lack of research for the flipped classroom model in the middle school setting and the results that I compiled, there is no doubt that I will continue my research studies into the flipped classroom model and its effectiveness in the middle school. Some of the reflections that I noted from the traditional classroom to the flipped model. The traditional classroom, students lack motivation and participation. Time constraints limit differentiation from the teacher. Teacher controls the level of learning. Test scores are on a steadily decreasing trend. Achievement gaps in the minorities are increasing. After completing the flipped classroom model, we observed an increase in performance, participation, and growth. Differentiation was increased with the use of technology. Students took ownership of their learning. There was an overall increase in test scores and the decrease of achievement gap in minorities. The references that guided this project are listed.